big delve into some of those stats, we now are entering our fun round of what we call the LightIMM round section, or LRS for short. And the LightIMM round is an opportunity for us to get to know each other better, but also for you, the listener at home, to get to know us better and engage in some conversations. We're going to talk a lot about the memories of our childhood, about things that are coming up, and little details and quirks. So I think that these are some of the diasporic stories that many of you have tuned in to listen to. So the first question for you, LJ, and I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to engage with you, and then and share my answer as well, and then you're going to ask me a question and engage on my answer as well. The first question of our inaugural LightIMM round section is, what is your most vibrant memory of your hometown? And again, I know that hometown is a complicated word, especially for many of our listeners, but I'm going to put that question to you.
For those in the diaspora, that's a very tough question because, what is hometown? You've really knocked that one out of the park. Well, for me, it's going to be easy. It's Christmas. For those of you who have Filipino acquaintances, you know that Filipinos tend to count down to Christmas starting in September, much to the cringeworthiness of that factoid. There are other aspects of my life where I would consider Singapore as a second home and also a hometown. Jalan Makan, which literally in Malay means food street. I remember the chicken and pork skewers, the tiger beers, and the char kway teow. That is my vibrant memory. Those are my vibrant memories of my hometowns.
Ooh. I want to add two things. For those who haven't watched the Anthony Bourdain episode, and rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain, on the Philippines, he actually has an episode, I think, of Parts Unknown, where he captures the Christmas in Philippine spirit. And I think that that's just a wonderful episode. And it really brought to light to me how, the whole act of sending money back, remittances back to the home country, is such a powerful thing. And how the importance of money, and also the challenges that many Filipinx families have with family separation. And I'm seeing that with my own clientele now, which is increasingly Filipinx due to local engagement in the Filipino community. So I'm glad you shared those memories. I also had similar memories when I didn't go to the Philippines during Christmas, but just like walking through a night market, or just walking through a few streets and finding the most fascinating street food. The pork, the lechon. I'm immediately brought back to the streets of Philippines just with you sharing some of those stories. And Singapore, just to engage with you on that one, we have that shared history. We were both students, although for myself, for a much shorter time at the National University of Singapore, stayed at PGP. Shout outs to PGP residents. But we have a Singapore connection as well. So
Wait, hold on. You went to NUS? I didn't know that.
We talked about this. Yes, I went to NUS just for a short period of time. There was a summer exchange, but
okay.
The hawker centers in Singapore, the food. I'm a laksa person. That's probably one of my favorite dishes. If you call, and I guess that kind of segues into our second question, but that's it. I'll answer it as well for myself, the most vibrant memory of my hometown. I also have a very complicated relationship with a hometown, even though I was born in Victoria, left at the age of 2, and Vancouver is, by all definitions, probably what I would consider my hometown. But because it was my birthplace and it will always be a part of my home, I think it's the stories of my mother telling me about how we used to live on Mount Tommy. For those who are in Victoria, you'll know Mount Tommy well, very, very high hill. I know it's a little bit better path now, but back then I can only imagine how rough it was. But beautiful houses. I think our family lived in the basement of rich diplomats. They didn't have to pay rent, but in order to support my late father's studies and support the family, they had to cook and clean. And they told me about back then when they had to bring groceries up the hill. And sometimes they couldn't carry all those groceries up, and they had to leave them on the side of Mount Tommy. So just recently, I brought my spouse back, this is pre-COVID, to Mount Tommy. We walked the Mount Tommy, and all the memories came. Even though I don't remember them, I have shattered glass memory, like I know many individuals do from migrant communities. But just the stories, and Victoria will always hold a special place in my heart. So shout outs to Victoria, British Columbia, the capital of British Columbia.
Nice. Can I ask you the next question then? I think it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
So, if you could never go back to your homeland and you can bring one thing to Canada, what would it be? And let's put this extra requirement. It's got to be an item that's not available in Canada at all.
Ooh.
So we're
And
talking
so,
about
and
nostalgia here.
oh, we are talking about nostalgia. And I'll go with motherland of my motherland of China. My parents, as I said at the beginning of the show, immigrated from Shanghai. But this has actually come from another adopted home. I know we talked about our several adopted homes. This is where my spouse's family is from, and this is where I went on exchange and met my spouse. So hopefully we'll get into this story one day on the episode. I think it's a pretty sweet story. But it's in Chongqing, and Chongqing has this amazing thing, their work schedule. So I want to bring back this thing, because I think we need it now for post-COVID. But in their normal work schedule, they have 2 hours, 2 full hours from 12 to 2 where they don't work.
Huh.
They literally build in nap time and relax time into the work schedule. They start an hour early, granted. I think most businesses start at 8, but it's 8 to 12 and then 2 to 5. And from 12 to 2, everyone's either going for walks, everyone's like passed out, taking their nap, doing their thing. But a 2-hour nap in the middle of a regular workday, if that was the norm, I would 100% bring that here, because I think it would reinvigorate and re-energize all of us. I know I'm probably speaking to the wrong person right now who doesn't even know what a 2-hour break looks like anymore, given how busy they are. But that's what I would bring, and I think it should be mandated. It should be law. Let us write the laws. Let us bring in that one piece of Chinese law.
I feel like I'm in a restaurant, Will, where I see the other table ordering this amazing, plate of, this amazing dish, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna have what he's having.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of the siesta. That's it's not really built into certain Latin cultures, such as in Spain. It's a huge cultural thing, but it's not built into the work schedule. Some employers do, but it's not like 100% universal, as I understand it. But that's pretty interesting. So I'm going to try to answer that. What do I want to bring? I warned you, this is going to be corny. And literally, it is corned beef.
Yes. Wow, corned beef.
This
isn't your like canned corned beef though, right?
This is
your like
canned corned beef. This is the weird part. It's canned corned beef from the Philippines. It's called Deli Mondo.
Deli Mondo.
Yeah, and it's not available in North America as far as I know, not in Canada anyway. And obviously you can't import meat products from other countries on a personal consumption basis, even because of the quarantine restrictions. And quarantine is used today just for like COVID, but there are sanitary measures for food products, and you're not supposed to be able to, or you're not supposed to bring those things over to Canada. And been trying to look for a place to buy it here. I can't, but it's so good. I can't even begin to explain it to you. I'll just have to bring you to Manila at some point so that you can try it.
Is this equivalent to like Spam is in Hawaii, or am I just over?
Listen,
what do you do with this corned beef?
Spam is also a part of Filipino culture. I think this is like one big connection or nexus between Hawaii and the Philippines. There's actually a joke that our red blood cells, like Filipinos, look like spam, slices of spam. It's not untrue. I mean, I do have a few cans of spam lying in the, in the cupboard. So it's not untrue. But Deli Mondo is just next level corned beef. It like washes all competitors out of the, there's not even a competition. It's almost like it's not out of a can. I can't explain it. You'll have to Google it. I'll flash it here in the video. Anyway.
Absolutely, and I think on a similar level, like the sausage, the homemade sausage that, and I'm sorry for all you vegetarians, we'll talk about vegetables too. The sausage that my spouse's grandmother makes is just next level, and unfortunately similar to, I think, your corned beef. It's how do you get it across borders, and we're not about to advise on. We'll come up with some strategies eventually, but we're not going to talk about the importing of meat into Canada and how to and border declarations and all that good stuff. But some of those bites of the home food and the home country cooking is amazing. So that actually brings us amazingly to our last question in this LightIMM round. I know you're probably hungry. It's been a whole work day, and you probably either skipped meal or just shoved some sandwich quickly between meetings. But what is your comfort food on a cold spring day? I don't know if it's a cold spring day in Toronto, but
It
Vancouver,
is.
Burnaby, we've hit a bit of a cold. We had some sun, but it's been a little bit cold today. What is that comfort food, and who's making it for you? Or are you making it yourself?
Uh, I must confess it's not made at home. My usual comfort food when I'm cold is pho.
Mmm.
There is this
Facts. Pho
particular
is
store up in
incredible.
Brampton that seriously, it's just I can't get enough of it, and they sell it for cheap. Um,
Yeah.
I'll have the P11.
The
but, but
P11.
but but in all seriousness, it's really
Are we
good.
going to give away the name of the store?
It's Foamy 66. It's at the corner
Foamy
of
66.
Steeles and the 410.
Ooh.
So for those of you who are in the GTA who are out for good pho, this is a
Yeah.
really good place to go to. Foamy
Spicy,
66.
spicy broth or no spicy broth?
You can do spicy broth. You can do no spicy broth. I
Yeah.
usually take the non-spicy one, and then I add all the
Yeah.
chili garlic oil in the world.
Yes. Oh,
I,
yes. The key is though no sriracha, no hoisin. I'm sorry. Maybe do a little bit of dip on your meat or whatever. But if I see you dumping that all onto your soup, you just ruined it.
I'm the same. I don't put hoisin and sriracha in my pho. It's just the chili garlic oil.
You need the chili garlic oil.
Yep.
Those are facts. For myself, and I am craving it now, and I'll probably eat that soon. But definitely hot pot.
Oh,
Yeah, so Chongqing, that's where I went to school for a little bit, and that's where, again, my spouse's family is from, is the capital of hot pot. There's nothing, no exception. Don't give me that Sichuan stuff. I know I'm gonna get some beef for saying that I'm on the Chongqing side of that debate. But hot pot is just incredible, and some of the hot pot you have in China, where you're sitting literally on stools with like the grannies who are wearing like uniforms, and like everything's pushed around in carts, and like there's tissue everywhere, like, and you're just eating like random stuff. Like you'd be like, I would never eat this if it wasn't in hot pot form, and you throw into that magic liquid, and then it becomes spicy. You're sweating, you're palpitating, and like, and
it's
on a
an
cold spring day,
orchestra of food orgasm.
exactly. And I think, I've never unfortunately had hot pot as good as I've had back then, but it always gives me something to think about and go back to. So that would be my cold spring day / cold any day food. Awesome. Well, thank you for the LightIMM round. That was an incredible opportunity to share some amazing stories, and I cannot wait for the next one. We're going to have some even more creative stories. And if you have any ideas for questions, feel free to reach out to us on our socials. We're going to put the socials link alongside this video and the audio podcast. So give us a shout.
Yeah, so we want to make you a part of this conversation too. So if you have any questions for us, do send it over to us. Links in the socials for for Will and for myself.
Absolutely. And if we have guests on, we're gonna best be prepared. Best be prepared. We're gonna be subjected to sharing some of these stories. And again, this is what Real Talk is. And when we come on, we want to tell our stories, tell our authentic stories, and be our authentic selves, which I think is unfortunately becoming a little bit harder to do in many of our workplaces and many of our environments that always put us in a force us to be someone we're not, to either get paid or to get by. And we wanted to create this podcast for everyone to be their authentic selves, to share stories that they normally wouldn't tell to others in a safe space. On that note, we are going to close with our last segment, the Real Talk Closing RTC. Today's Real Talk will go to LJ. LJ, essentially in 2 or 3 minutes, tell the masses what you're thinking about and what you want to close with and what you want to tell our audience and listeners about just how things are, and be real with us.
I'll try to make it quick, actually. I think I can. One word: kindness. And especially to yourself. Yes. For those who are caught in the humdrum of life, in the pace, and I can't imagine how maddeningly crazy it is for a lot of us in the time of a pandemic. You need to be kind to yourself. Take the time to pause and reflect on what you have, and just be kind to yourself and to those around you. I will admit I am, I forget this all the time. Just the other day, for example, speaking about kindness to my physical well-being, I said to myself, I need to stop working after a certain time, like 6 or 7 p.m. Unfortunately, as immigration lawyers, that we have clients overseas, and because of the time differences, obviously we have to adjust. But, as a rule of thumb, I should be not working after a certain time because it's just not good for me. And it really ultimately speaks about the kind of like self-care that we need to uh, pay attention to, especially in these trying times. So that's not just to us, and it's also to our family, to our friends, and um, that's what I want to get across this week.
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking about stories that my late father told me about being kind to every single person you meet. You don't know what they've been going through. I know these days, when you're looking at, either security guards or cleaners or those who work in hospitals. I mean, I've had to go to the hospital recently to make sure, family health is okay. We've always interacted with individuals we know are putting their lives on the line literally for others. And during COVID, it's been the caregivers, it's been the PSNs. It's been a lot of these individuals, many of who are migrant women of color, migrant persons of color, and we want to give them a huge shout out and ask everyone to be kind to them and for them as well to hopefully find some respite in this very, very trying time and thank our frontline workers and thank them really deeply from the bottom of our hearts. So that is a wrap on the first episode of ImmLight of All Circumstances. Our short form name is ImmLight. Our socials are going to be at ImmLight.
ImmLight's going to come to you every week. We're aiming to post episodes of about 5 minutes each every week, and from time to time we'll be coming in together, Will and I, where we'll be talking about specific issues in depth, and we're gonna talk about these things in light of all circumstances.
We're really excited to see all of you. For those who want to appear on our show as guests, or if you have any recommendations, please add us. Please let us know. We'll put our socials and our contact information and make it available after the show.
Let us know what topics you'd like us to discuss as well. And Will, I'll leave it to you. Last thoughts, last words.
Well, thank you and gratitude to all those who listen. Thank you to all those who are going through the immigration process and are sharing their concerns and challenges. I know we hear it and we hear you. And again, I just want to heed LJ's last words and his speech about kindness. Let's all be kind to each other this week, and we are excited to see you on our next episode.
See ya.